Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey, everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese. Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called Shang Sanguan. Once upon a time in Zhuge City, there was a scholar named Shang. One day, Shang got drunk and casually made a few jokes, unknowingly offending a wealthy man in the city. The wealthy man ordered his servants to severely beat him. As a result, when Shang was carried back home, his injuries were too severe, and he soon passed away. Shang had two sons, the elder named Shang Chen, the younger named Shang Li, and a daughter named Shang Sanguan. Shang Sanguan, at the age of 16, had her marriage arranged, but due to her father's sudden death, the wedding was postponed. Outraged, her two brothers decided to pursue legal action, but after a year, the case remained unresolved. Representatives from Sanguan's future in-laws came to discuss the matter with Sanguan's mother, suggesting a flexible approach given the current circumstances. Sanguan's mother considered the proposal reasonable and was prepared to agree. When Sanguan heard about this, she approached her mother and said, "How could it be right to hold a wedding while my father's body is not yet cold? Does my future husband not have parents?" The representatives from Sanguan's future in-laws were deeply ashamed upon hearing Sanguan's words and abandoned their initial plans. Not long after, Sanguan's two brothers lost the lawsuit and returned home with resentment, causing great sorrow and indignation among the family members. The brothers suggested keeping their father's body unburied, hoping to gather evidence for future appeals and complaints to the authorities. Sanguan spoke to her brothers, saying, "When someone is killed, and the authorities do not intervene, it is evident that the world has become corrupt. Will the heavens send us a judge or a righteous official to address our grievances? How can we bear to leave our father's remains exposed like this?" Moved by her words, the two brothers agreed to bury their father. Shortly after the funeral, Sanguan, alone and without notice, left home one night, and no one knew where she had gone. Her mother, feeling uneasy and ashamed, kept the matter a secret, fearing that Sanguan's in-laws would find out. She instructed her two sons to discreetly investigate Sanguan's whereabouts. After about half a year, Sanguan was still missing. One day happened to be the birthday of the wealthy man who had caused the death of Sanguan's father. To celebrate, the wealthy man invited many actors to his home to entertain the guests. Among them was a performer named Sun Chun, accompanied by his two disciples. One of his disciples, Wang Cheng, had an ordinary appearance but sang with a clear and resonant voice, earning applause from the audience. The other disciple, Li Yu, had a remarkable appearance resembling a beautiful woman. When guests urged him to perform, he hesitated, claiming unfamiliarity with the scripts. However, when compelled to sing, his performance included many popular children's songs, eliciting applause and laughter from the audience. Witnessing this, Sun Chun felt embarrassed and explained to the host, "My disciple has not studied drama for long and has only learned some toasting etiquette. Please don't blame him." The wealthy man then asked Li Yu to serve drinks to the guests. Li Yu moved skillfully among the guests, offering toasts. He excelled at observing the host's expressions, winning the wealthy man's favor. After the banquet ended and the guests departed, the wealthy man decided to keep Li Yu with him for the night. Li Yu attentively prepared the bed and undressed the wealthy man, providing exceptionally thoughtful service. Despite the wealthy man making suggestive remarks and teasing, Li Yu responded with a gentle smile, showing no signs of irritation. The wealthy man became increasingly enamored with Li Yu, completely captivated by him. Consequently, he dismissed all the servants, leaving only Li Yu to accompany him. Observing the departure of the servants, Li Yu closed and locked the door securely with a bolt. The servants, unconcerned about their master's private affairs, had already moved to other rooms to drink and chat. After a while, the servants heard a thud sound coming from the master's room. One of the servants quickly ran to check what had happened. When he reached the door of the master's room, he found complete darkness inside, with no sound at all. As the servant was about to turn away and leave, suddenly, a loud noise echoed from the master's room, as if a rope supporting a heavy object had suddenly snapped. The servant urgently called out into the room, but there was no response. Quickly gathering other servants, they decided to force the door open and rushed inside. Upon entering, they discovered that the wealthy man had already been decapitated, and Li Yu had hanged herself. However, the rope had snapped, causing her to fall to the ground. Still, the broken rope was hanging around Li Yu's neck. The servants were shocked and immediately reported the situation to the family members of the master's household. Subsequently, the entire household staff gathered at the scene of the incident, bewildered by what had occurred. As they carried Li Yu's body into the courtyard, they noticed that his shoes and socks were hollow inside, as if there were no feet. The servants took off Li Yu's shoes and socks and discovered that inside them was a pair of 3-inch golden lotuses, adorned with white mourning shoes. Everyone then realized that Li Yu was actually a woman. The shock intensified among the people. They quickly summoned Li Yu's master, Sun Chun, for a thorough interrogation. Sun Chun was completely terrified by the unfolding events, unsure how to answer the series of questions. He could only respond. Li Yu joined us as a disciple a month ago and expressed her willingness to follow me to celebrate the master's birthday. I truly don't know where she came from. The servants also noticed that Li Yu's undergarments were mourning clothes, suspecting her to be an assassin sent by the family of Shang. Therefore, the wealthy man's household hastily assigned 2 servants to guard Li Yu's body. These 2 servants, seeing Li Yu's face looking lively and feeling warmth and softness when touching her body, secretly planned to commit necrophilia. As one of the servants took the initiative to hold the body and turn her over to undress her, suddenly, his head seemed to be violently struck by something. Subsequently, this servant began spewing blood profusely from his mouth and quickly succumbed. The other servant, terrified by what he witnessed, promptly informed the others. With this revelation, the people involuntarily began to treat Li Yu with reverence, as if she were a deity. The following day, the wealthy man's family reported the case to the local authorities. The local magistrate summoned Shang Chen and Shang Li for a detailed interrogation. Both brothers stated, "We don't know anything about this incident. Our sister, Shang Sanguan, has been missing for half a year." The magistrate ordered Shang Chen and Shang Li to identify Li Yu's body, and they confirmed that Li Yu was indeed Shang Sanguan. Impressed by Shang Sanguan's noble act, the magistrate showed sympathy and ruled leniently on the Shang family. He instructed the Shang brothers to take Shang Sanguan's body back for a proper burial and urged the wealthy man's family to settle the matter peacefully, advising against seeking revenge on the Shang family. In the conclusion of the story, the author provided additional commentary. He expressed surprise that the Shang family had an outstanding hero like the ancient Yu Rang but remained unaware of it. The behavior of the Shang brothers, as men, could be easily inferred. Reflecting on Shang Sanguan's character, the author remarked that even the desolate and tragic river would feel ashamed and cease to flow in the face of her deeds. The author contrasted Shang Sanguan's virtue with the mediocrity of those who aimlessly float along with the world. He wished that all women in the world could buy silk threads to embroider images of Shang Sanguan for worship. The author believed that such merit would not pale in comparison to worshipping Guan Yu. The story mentions the 3-inch golden lotus, also known as foot binding. In the ancient literature of many Chinese dynasties, there are records of this practice, mainly because ancient people believed that smaller feet were more beautiful for women. From the northern Song period to the late Qing dynasty, this deformity of aesthetic standards reached its peak. During the Ming and Qing periods, the custom of foot binding was at its height. Regardless of whether they were rich or poor, girls would start binding their feet tightly with cloth from the age of 4 or 5. As they grew older, their feet would deform, with all 4 toes, apart from the big toe, and the foot arch being broken and bent towards the sole, forming a shape resembling bamboo shoots. Throughout this process, young girls would cry day and night due to the pain, but mothers or grandmothers would ignore their tears and cries, binding their feet tightly to ensure their future marriage prospects. This practice was only abolished in the early Republican era. Even today, in many museums, one can find small shoes worn by women who had undergone foot binding. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tale. Shang Sanguan. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.